In a world torn apart by war, where death lurked in every corner of Europe, one woman became a legend, not by commanding armies, but by the precision of a single bullet. Her name was Lyudmila Pavlichenko, and to her enemies, she was simply known as Lady Death. Lyudmila Pavlichenko was born on July 12, 1916, in the Ukrainian town of Bila Tserkva. She wasn't born a soldier. She was a bright, ambitious student, fascinated by history and books. When she was a teenager, her family moved to Kyiv, where she joined a local shooting club, an after-school hobby that would one day make her one of the most feared snipers in human history. At just 14, Lyudmila developed an almost obsessive drive to prove herself. She was competitive, tough, and restless. When boys bragged about their marksmanship, she decided to outshoot them all, and she did. By the time she was in university studying history, her reputation at the shooting range was unmatched. Still, no one, not even she, could imagine how soon those skills would become her weapon of survival. Then came June 22, 1941. Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in human history. The Soviet Union was suddenly fighting for its life, and like millions of others, Lyudmila rushed to enlist. When she arrived at the recruitment office, the officers laughed. A 25-year-old woman with university glasses asking to fight on the front lines? They offered her a job as a nurse, but Lyudmila refused. She slammed her shooting certificate on the desk and demanded to be sent as a sniper. The officers, skeptical but curious, handed her a rifle and told her to prove it. Moments later, 2 test targets lay dead center. Lyudmila Pavlichenko had just earned her place in the Red Army's 25th Rifle Division. Her first real battle came in Moldavia. Within days, she made her first 2 confirmed kills, German soldiers who had just killed her comrades. That moment, she later said, was when I truly understood what war meant. Over the next months, she was sent to Odessa, one of the most brutal battlegrounds on the Eastern Front. There, she honed her art of patience, waiting for hours motionless, in the dirt, watching, breathing, calculating. Her rifle was a Mosin Nagant 1891/30, equipped with a 3.5 times PU scope. Simple, rugged, deadly. By the end of the Battle of Odessa, Lyudmila had already killed over 180 enemy soldiers. But Odessa fell. The Red Army retreated to Sevastopol, in Crimea, a fortress city that would become her home for the next 8 months, and the place where legends are born. Sevastopol, 1942. The siege was merciless. The Germans and Romanians threw everything they had against the defenders, and among the shattered rocks and smoke, Lyudmila Pavlichenko became a ghostly figure, striking from the shadows. Her camouflage was perfect. Sometimes she would crawl for hours just to find the right angle. Sometimes she'd lie still for a whole day, waiting for a single shot. And her kills began to mount, dozens, then hundreds. Each bullet meant one less invader. Her total climbed past 300 confirmed kills, then 400. She hunted enemy snipers, dueling them in silent, deadly games that could last for days. In one case, she outwitted and killed a German sniper who had stalked her for 3 days straight. By the end of the siege, her official tally stood at 309 confirmed kills, 36 of them enemy snipers. But the legend of Lady Death wasn't built on numbers alone. It was built on defiance. The German army knew her name. They even tried to bribe her, broadcasting messages on loudspeakers across the battlefield. "Pavlichenko, come over to us. We will give you chocolate and make you an officer in the German army." She didn't answer. Instead, she killed more of them. In 1942, during a bombing raid, shrapnel tore through her face. She was evacuated. Her frontline service was over. But her war was far from done. The Soviet command realized something. Lyudmila Pavlichenko wasn't just a sniper. She was a symbol of resilience, of courage, and of the Soviet Union's unbreakable will. So instead of returning to battle, she was sent on a new mission to America. In late 1942, Lyudmila became the first Soviet citizen ever received by a U.S. president. Franklin D. Roosevelt welcomed her to the White House. And soon she was touring the United States and Canada, urging the Western allies to open a second front in Europe. But the Western press didn't quite know what to do with her. Instead of asking about her kills, journalists asked about her uniform, her makeup, even her love life. At one press conference, a reporter asked if she used face powder on the front. Lyudmila's reply became legendary. "I wear my uniform with honor. It has the Order of Lenin on it. It has been covered in blood and dust. Why should I wear powder?" The crowd fell silent. Then she spoke publicly at rallies, her voice calm and sharp as her rifle. "Gentlemen," she said, "I am 25 years old and I have killed 309 fascist invaders. Don't you think, gentlemen, that you've been hiding behind my back for too long?" The crowd erupted in applause. She toured with Eleanor Roosevelt, who later called her a quiet, serious girl with the eyes of someone who had seen too much. Through her words and presence, Lyudmila Pavlichenko became not just a soldier, but a messenger, reminding the world what was truly at stake. When she returned to the Soviet Union, Lyudmila was no longer the same person who had left. The war had carved deep scars into her body and soul. She trained new snipers, mostly women, passing on her knowledge, her patience, her deadly precision. Many of them would later fight and die on the Eastern Front, carrying her teachings into battle. After the war, she finally finished her history degree and worked as a researcher and historian, writing and lecturing quietly in Moscow. She rarely spoke of the war again. Perhaps the weight of those 309 lives was too heavy. Perhaps she wanted to remember the faces of her fallen comrades instead. Lyudmila Pavlichenko lived a relatively quiet life until her death in 1974, at age 58. But the legend of Lady Death never faded. Lyudmila Pavlichenko's name remains etched in history, not as a killer, but as a guardian, a woman who stood her ground in a man's war, a historian who became history herself. She proved that courage knows no gender, that intellect and discipline can be as powerful as brute force, and that, in the darkest moments of humanity, a single person's resolve can echo louder than armies. Today, statues of her stand in Ukraine and Russia. Her rifle rests in museums, and her story continues to inspire soldiers, scholars, and storytellers across generations. Every German who set foot on our soil must be stopped. That was my mission, and she completed it 309 times. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below. Whose untold story should we tell next? Because history is written by those who dare to aim. Thanks for watching the video. Until next time.